Open up the regular meeting of the Plympton Planning Board on Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. The first item on the agenda is a continued public hearing for consideration of the application for site plan approval at 0 Brook Street. Please just introduce yourself.
Sure. Greg Sampson with Sullivan & Worcester. I am unfortunately the sole representative of the project tonight, but we did want to take an opportunity to check in. It's been a while, as you know. We kicked off this application several months ago. We had a site walk over the summer, and we've been going through several rounds of peer review with John Chazia, who I wasn't sure if he was going to be here tonight. Just a quick question. I think, Joanne, do you have the Mullen Rule?
We do have Mullen Rule, yeah.
And so Joanne would still be eligible. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I should actually say from the beginning that Jay is recusing himself from this proceeding because he is familiar with the applicant.
I was aware of that. I just wanted to, that was part of my reason for asking. So we think we've made great progress with the peer reviewer. I think we're down to a handful of issues. I think the last letter from John came in about a week ago, was the 29th. There were a few items that he did defer to the board, so part of the hope tonight was if there's any major concerns from the board about those items that he deferred on, we'd like to hear those just to make sure that we can properly address them. But there were a few open items from the review, and I just wanted to kind of summarize what I think those were and discuss, hopefully get some board direction as to how to proceed. One item relates to the existing conditions of the site where the solar farm will be developed. And I think this is on page 14 to 15 of his memo. For those who have been on the site, you can see that there's been a lot of work done over the years. There's some gullies and pits. There had been some excavation for sand. And one of the comments was, John wants us to model all of the small holes as kind of holes in the pits and pools, essentially. Our modeling doesn't, we think the model's correct without doing that. We actually think it's conservative because we're not taking credit for the type of recharge that could happen in those small areas in the current conditions. So we think it's modeled appropriately, especially given the cover type being mostly sand and gravel with some sparse vegetation. So all of our modeling is fair grass vegetation conditions, which we think is appropriate based upon the site conditions. And again, we think in this respect, it's a little bit of a conservative analysis. Later on, John actually talks about some of the dirt roads that we had originally modeled, and we took those out and took them out of a dirt road and made them into fair grass, which we think also is a conservative model because the dirt roads generate more runoff than the fair grass. So existing conditions, we're trying to be conservative, and it's a little bit of a hard site. It's been worked on in the past, but we think the modeling we have right now is appropriate.
What page of the letter are you referencing?
14 to 15.
Okay.
This is John's October 28th memo.
That's just the summer.
I'll see 14 or 15.
So on 14,
14.
I can pull it up on my computer if you...
it's the bottom of 14. He's talking about how some of the areas are difficult to read.
Yeah.
Existing contours, and he asked for some spot grades. Again, these were these are some very small areas, and we're looking at it from the digital model versus not necessarily just what the plans can plot. So we don't see it as particularly concerning. The top of page 15, he says,
Yeah, so may
Yes.
I interrupt?
Give it back when you're done, though.
May I interrupt? Greg, I appreciate that fact that you're diving into the very technical weeds
Mhm.
here, but I don't think the project is, I think we're well, but I don't think we're there yet.
okay,
You may be aware, I joined a call with John Chesia, the proponent, about a month or so ago, and there's things in the bigger picture that concern me. One has to do with the 5 years of clearing.
yep,
Regulations are very clear that you can't do a solar field unless, the site has to be at least empty or vacant, be forest for 5 years before you can put in a solar field. The applicant has not demonstrated that to us, either by Google Images or anything, right? John has done a little research, and he tells me it hasn't been 5 years. So that's essentially sort of a non-starter, because our regulations, when we wrote these regulations in 2019, that was very clear. We don't want people going out there and clearing trees to put in a solar field. And the argument is that this was a pine grove or a tree farm. Well, show me, demonstrate that. No one has demonstrated that. What we have are 100 scale drawings. No one has demonstrated that. I've asked for Google Images, I've asked for overlays, I haven't seen anything. They just sort of they haven't addressed it properly. The second issue I have is generally the approach to the stormwater management system. The proponent has agreed to address the conditions on the abutting solar field because they have failed. But in his analysis for stormwater management, he's treating that failed field in its condition today, which is not doing us any good. You have to model that failed field, that failed detention recharge system to the intent that it was designed, going back to the original approvals. Because that original approvals gave you the discharge rates that we need to meet now. The system has failed. I don't care whose responsibility it is. The proponent has said he will take responsibility for that. Conversation we had a month ago is, this is important to me, because what he's doing is he's trying to take the existing he's trying to model it in the condition it is today. Well, it's failing today. That was not what was designed and permitted. So treat the pre-existing condition as though that field is operating as it was intended to operate. You follow me?
I do.
Okay.
I think
Because what we have an issue where the butter has been here saying, you have water coming on my site that never came before, right?
yeah, and we have spent a lot of time looking at that. I mean, our current basin has been redesigned. 97% of that new basin is intended to capture the existing site drainage.
Great,
It
but
has-
we have to compare it to but he's not comparing it to what the original intent was.
So, and I understand this, and obviously I'm not
Yeah.
the engineer, but I think one of the concerns was, is it appropriate to analyze it as good ground cover if that is not what is there now, but you are suggesting
I mean, those
it's
are
not necessarily the ground
There's two
cover.
different topics. I think the ground cover, I think we're close, right?
Okay.
And granted, this is a solar field that's in the middle of the woods. No one's going to see it. It's well hidden. It's a great place for a solar field, but the way we're getting there is sort of backwards, because you're going in and you're clearing a site, and then you say, 2 years later, let's put a solar field in, totally against the regulations. That was very important to us when we drafted these in 2019, because we don't want to encourage this type of solar field development, right? Otherwise, people will be doing it all the time. So you need a window there. And then the stormwater management, what this field next to us has demonstrated is the field next to us doesn't have the vegetated cover that was anticipated, that was designed to. You have erosion, you have the recharge system actually failing. So you're looking at that, we don't want that to happen to this site, right?
Understood.
So we got to make sure that we have the appropriate soil covers, that we have the appropriate gradage, we have the appropriate swales that can capture runoff and redirect it so we don't have this long-term erosion.
Yeah.
And I've been clear on this since the beginning, and I don't see the applicant taking that seriously to heart,
Okay.
right?
I think there is, it may be that just the analysis isn't there, but I think the design might be, but I understand.
Yeah.
We have to prove it with the analysis to support the design.
Yeah, and, you know, the survey, John has some concerns about the survey. I don't think, was an on-the-ground survey committed? How was this done?
I'm pretty sure it was on the ground.
On the ground?
I can confirm that.
All right. Yeah, so, I mean, the tree clearing thing, I think it's a slap in our face if we say this is okay when it's only been 2 years.
Okay.
And the argument is it's a tree farm. Well, prove to me that was a tree farm, and the trees weren't more than 8 or 10 feet high. I've seen no evidence to say that.
Okay.
All
I mean,
right.
we do, yes, and then, I met the owner and
Yeah.
know it was a tree farm, so
Okay.
that feels like something that can be established.
And then we did that, and there are some mature trees out there in the middle of this solar field, right? So then that 10%, I'd asked for an overlay drawing of showing, demonstrating to me if indeed if the clearing is legitimate, do an overlay to clearly demonstrate that you're not exceeding 10% of what that area is. Just, put it on an overlay plan on Google Map. That's not that difficult to do.
I thought that was done. and-
I haven't seen it. Has anyone seen it?
I haven't seen it.
And personally, I think if those things are addressed, we know that the design is meeting the intention of the original solar field, plus what we need to do now, what I can start, if that is addressed, if the clearing issue can be resolved, if we can be confident that erosion and ground cover is going to be adequate,
Yeah.
the other things I don't think are less important to me than those 3 major topics.
Right, no, and I think that is pretty much a consensus, especially because the abutter has appeared.
Yes.
And, has expressed concern. So we really want to make sure we are comfortable that once it's constructed, there isn't going to be a runoff problem and that it's not going to fail. And I'm not the engineer, John's the engineer, but
Yeah.
we don't want to be in the same position that we're in with the system for the existing field.
Yeah. No, and I do appreciate that. We are trying to take ownership of that failure, even though it's not our project. But I think one of the things we're looking at is, once we modify that existing basin, and part of the reason why we think it failed is I think it was too low in the ground. But once we take ownership, we assume that's our responsibility as part of this project.
Yep.
So that should also help to address some of the other concerns as well.
There were some legal questions here that I look to you to think about, having to do with the survey itself, right? So I understand that there's a plan shows the easement, right, of the solar field,
Yeah.
but the overall property is signed as an overall property, right? I don't know if that makes a difference to anyone. That's why I just want to bring it up to see if it's an issue to anyone.
I looked at this when it first came in, but
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it before.
Okay.
Let's see. Is that in the,
That was, of the,
was that in?
in the letter,
D, in the
page
beginning?
25.
Oh, 25.
Hello, join us. We're in a hearing, but
Yeah, I think, I can, that's 1.6 on page 25. And then again, I don't have the plans in front of me, which
Yeah.
is probably my own failing. I will make a point, I will take a closer look at that.
okay.
And see, I do think he's probably correct that if you had different line types, it would be easier to identify which part of the property is the subject of the lease as opposed to the other parcels that are involved. So you could clearly identify the setbacks, because clearly if the lease parcels are within the or within the assessor's parcels, if the lease is not the entire parcel, if it's shrunk in, then the 50-foot setback, it wouldn't abut, the 50-foot setback wouldn't matter. It would be easier to identify. But that wasn't, I mean, given the location, I didn't flag that as a,
Okay.
as a
I didn't
major red
think it was, I
flag.
just,
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was something that we were concerned about. But yeah, I mean, those are my three topics of concern. And I think all these other questions, most of the other questions sort of play into that.
Right, and I think with respect to his comments about the waiver requests and those instances where he defers to the board,
Yeah.
I mean, we've received the written waiver request application from the applicant, and there's sufficient information in there for
Mhm.
us to make decisions on the waivers that have been requested. So I don't think those are open issues. We just will have to vote to grant the waivers when we
Yep.
vote on the project.
And they're the waivers that are listed in the opening paragraph to, on his summary
Right,
page. Yep,
that's right.
yep, and I don't see any issue with any of that.
Yeah. So if you're looking for direction, where all those defer to the board on the waivers, I don't think we have any issues with respect to the waivers. We'll just have to, when we actually vote, we vote them individually.
Sure. Okay.
Is there anything else that was? I'm just scrolling back through.
Yeah, I mean, the setbacks, I'm not too concerned about the setbacks because we are deep in the woods.
I agree.
If we're up against the residents or something, that would be a different conversation.
Right.
Yeah, I think within the work, we also do provide the site line and the elevation change works to the benefit here.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
So, just looking at some of the other issues, we have historically been okay with that woven wire deer fencing around sites. So where John has indicated the board should decide if that's appropriate, historically, we have deemed that appropriate. So that's not, and I think it makes sense in this particular location. Is there anything else in particular that you wanted feedback from us about?
I think there was a financial surety we provided the cost estimate by a third party, and I think he did the board and that said it was not within his review, but I just wanted to flag that if there's
Yeah,
anything about that.
page 10.
Yeah, no, I've looked at it. Did anybody else have any thoughts on it's got the estimate from the third party.
Yeah, I have no issue if it's a third one.
We don't line item it out. We rely on the fact that it's a third party. So that,
Just keep getting more expensive every year.
as does everything.
Yeah.
And the insurance information that was provided, that tracks the insurance that we've gotten from other projects. So that's not, there was no red flags in that either.
I guess if I could ask one question, how do we get access to the files for the budding project to look at the design?
That's a good question. So that was approved before I was back on the board and before
I was,
these folks were on the board. Were you on the board when that one was
Probably,
approved?
I'm sure.
So we don't have anything in a digital format from that time period, but but we do have all of the plans and documents down in the office, which we previously were not allowed to go into because there was an alleged mold issue, but there is no mold issue. And so now we can go down and get them. I'll see if we can get that. I just don't know how we
Would work.
can get it to you.
I mean, so
Brian?
Joanne has access down. Joanne's organized that, correct?
Yeah, Joanne has organized the
So-
office.
So maybe we ask Joanne if she can retrieve it, and then I can look at it and confirm that's what we're looking for, or I can even meet her here sometime and try to find it with her. And then what I'll do is I can take that and scan it and share it with the proponent.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Joanne she's not here tonight.
And what we'll do, I'll just give you the pre-existing results, right? So you can just plug those numbers in. Instead of scanning the 200 pages, I'll just give you
Yeah.
the summary report.
That makes sense.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll reach out, I'll email her tomorrow, and we'll coordinate getting
Yeah.
this so that we can get that to you as soon as possible.
Okay.
So that we can advance the ball and keep this rolling and eventually reach
Yep.
closure.
Yeah,
Which is-
I mean, again, not the engineer, but it does feel like where we're at is very achievable to get the end result.
I do too, and that's sort of what's frustrating, because it's not that challenging of a site in a sense. So yeah, so if you just, please take seriously what we're asking for, and I think we'll be pretty close.
Yeah, I do think we are pretty close. I mean, we're meeting again on the, that's October, sorry. We're meeting again on the 18th of November. If we could get that information to you this week, do you think it would be possible for you guys to wrap things up and come back in and maybe we could close and have a vote on the 18th? Or do you think that's ambitious, because that's literally 2 weeks from today?
I think it's possible. I mean, in the only question mark, if it requires a redesign,
Yeah.
if we look at the analysis and it proves that we were on the right track,
Right.
and our assumptions were valid, we're going to be in great shape. If we look at it and it forces us to spend some more time
Mhm.
redrafting some of the basins, we need to continue, but I'd like to keep the pressure on if possible.
Yeah, no, that works for us. The meeting after that is December 2nd. So, in a perfect world, I mean, the best for you is if we can wrap that up on December 2nd, because we do not meet the second week in December.
Okay.
So on the 16th, we wouldn't be meeting. And I don't want to roll you into January, because I don't think you want to be rolled into January.
I mean, again, if something comes up that requires the time, then, we're willing to put in the effort, but if we're able to punch it out, I know Zach will be pushing us to get it done. I can't speak for the engineering team, so.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that you wanted to say, or that anyone?
No.
Okay. Hold on one second. I have too many windows open. Okay. So I will work to we all will work to get you that information as soon as possible. So then, do you want to continue until the next scheduled meeting on the 18th of November?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I move that we continue the public hearing to Tuesday, November 18th at 6:30 PM. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, so the vote is unanimous.
Regarding the clearing,
Yes.
if they could get that information to us sooner,
Yeah.
and then the drainage stuff can follow up, because that's really like a yay or nay for me, Okay.
I understand.
So if we can just put that to bed and not have to talk about it again?
Yes.
That would be great.
I understand the point. Yeah. I
Okay.
would be remiss to say that there's several cases that say that bylaw requirement can't be enforced, but I think we can prove it to you, so.
That's okay.
We won't go there yet.
I wrote something similar for Devon's in 2006, and I think it's held up.
So,
No.
like I said, I
Yeah.
think we've got the right info, so, but thank you.
Thanks.
All right, have a good night.
You too.
Take care.
Is there anybody else outside that wants to
So some
meet
people-
with the planning board?
No,
There's a couple ladies out there, two different ladies.
Okay, yeah, I guess.
No?
Two.
Good night.
two-
Thank you. There were two people that
Yeah, it was
poked
definitely
their
two.
heads in, but they seem to have left.
Two
Maybe
different-
we'll
yeah,
just
two
wait for a
different-
couple
yeah,
minutes
sure.
and see if somebody shows up. We can do the minutes while we're waiting. Did everybody get a chance to look at the October 21st meeting minutes?
Very detailed, much better than what we used to get last year.
Does anybody, you made him cough. Does anybody have any comments on the minutes?
No, minutes are great.
I think we adjourned at 6:36 and not 6:37, but I won't hold you to that.
All right, I move that we approve the meeting minutes of October 21st, 2025. Is there a second?
1 second.
All those in favor? Aye. I'll just poke my head out one more time.
Yeah, there was two different ladies out there.
I
don't
know,
what
there
went.
were, and I don't know what happened to
I
them.
thought they were John's friends.
I have no clue.
No?
No, I don't. It's that, I like it that way.
So,
I have no obligations.
is the concern there, John, if that has been cleared for 5 years, that's a problem?
That's where our regulations
Yeah,
were.
that's what I'm saying.
And that's what we spent a lot of time on.
Yeah, but the applicant has gone, so we should not discuss
That's
this
true.
matter anymore.
That's true.
All right, so I move that we adjourn this meeting at 6:57 PM. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? It is unanimous.